Oh, look at you. All right, well, this morning we're highlighting the achievements of Jamaican women in film. Joining us on the couch is the powerhouse of the industry, Natalie Thompson. She has worked on projects such as James Bond, No Time to Die, Sprinter, Bob Marley, One Love, Third World Cup, Cool Runnings, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Should we keep going? Yeah. We can keep going. How much time do we have? Man.
Definitely. Well, she joins us this morning for a behind-the-scenes look at the industry. So she is managing she's the chairman and managing director of Cinecom Productions Limited, Natalie Thompson. OD, welcome to Sunrise.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So good to see you.
You are the go-to person. You are the name that everybody calls when, you know, we're doing a film in Jamaica. We have to get Natalie on this project. How did you come to be that girl?
You know, when I came back from university, I wanted to go into film, but I went into advertising first and did a lot of commercials and stuff. And then people started to come asking who in Jamaica could set up their films for them here. And, you know, it just happened. I stepped forward and said, okay, I'll try this. And it got from commercials coming in to documentaries coming in to music videos coming in, which I don't do too much of anymore. And then to the feature films, and it just, you know, followed up that way.
You know, I love the fact that, you know, you're a global name. I mean, because you've done some big productions. There are people who would say that Jamaica needs to do more for the film industry. Because it can be such a great film destination. You know, what's your thinking on the extent to which we are providing adequate support for filmmakers, particularly women filmmakers in Jamaica?
You know, what we should do, we have to concentrate more on making our own films. Because if we, you know, it's all well and good for a lot of people to come to us, but we need to, at the same time, develop our own industry at the same speed. And that has not been happening. And I mean, it's money. It's not a cheap industry to get into. It's not something that, you know, but now we've gotten the support of the government through the JSDI. And hopefully that will at least make us develop our own stories to a point that they can be financed, you know, either by here or overseas. And I think women in the industry, women, you know, in many industries in Jamaica, we tend to, you know, move up a lot in recent years. And this is no different. The film industry is getting there.
You mentioned women in the industry. Let's talk a bit about your own contributions. How do you think your own contributions have shaped, one, the view of women in production, and I mean, your contribution big. So just, you know, let's call the spade the spade.
Well, you know, when I started in the industry, I started as a director.
Right.
And going from directing to producing is not a step that people normally take. Typically take. But, you know, directing is very, very stressful as for the responsibilities of the creative. And I always consider myself a creative. But I found that I was producing and directing everything I was doing. And it was easier for me and more financially satisfying to stick to producing and let the young directors come up. And, you know, I worked with a lot of, at first it was all male directors. When I came into the business, there were 1 Jamaican and 3 Englishmen who were directing commercials in the island. So it was, you know, it was hard. And then he came in the year after me. And, you know, it has been a, you know, sometimes struggle, but I mean, getting out of directing and going to producing, I think, helped. And I think a lot of Jamaican women now, most of the producers are women.
For your body of work, is there a particular thing that always pulls at you and you move in a specific direction for producing? When something comes in front of you, are you just like, this is not for me, this is for me? What's that thing that make you say yes to a project?
A lot of the projects need a lot of focus. And a lot of our young people are more interested in what is going on the set. My job, a lot of it is behind the scenes, making sure tomorrow is going to be right. And so it's hard for me to say, you can't go on set and spend the day on set. You have to be here counting the money, seeing that the budget is working, seeing that everybody is happy, because that becomes your job as well. And when you have crews up to 500, but I think there are Jamaican women who can do it. But they have to know that this is not the creative side of the industry.
Right.
You know, it is more the...
It's the business.
It's the business. It's like running a large corporation that moves very fast. And they are in and they're out, and there's a lot of money.
As a woman in the industry, do you think that women bring something different in terms of the stories that they want to tell, or the stories that they ought to tell?
Creatively, I think the women are moving and the men are going to kill me. Creatively, I think it's now, there's some very, very good male, and I don't want to put them off because there's some very, very, very good male. I mean, we can't say Storm Salter is not going to be a great director one of his days, but there is also Gabrielle Blackwood, who is also going to be extremely good down the road. I think they're going side by side, but the women writers, I think the writing of our stories are going to be in their hands a lot. And I think they will take us away from being the cliched gunfighting and the, you know, the stories of coming from the heart.
So let's take those elements that you've just mentioned. So you mentioned the presence of the female writers. You mentioned the presence of the directors who are on hand. And you also mentioned how critically important it is for us to tell our stories. And you mentioned the funding now available. What do you think will come of the film industry in Jamaica based on all of those elements now coming together? Where are we heading?
I think we're heading there. We're going to get there. I mean, I hear there was a prophetess who prophesied that the film industry is going to take over. Anyway, I think we're going to get there as long as these youngsters who, a lot of these youngsters have been, you know, sort of disillusioned because they can't make that next step. Because in order to sell a movie to be made, you have to have a big Bible that has everything about that movie in it. And to produce that Bible, you need help. Because you're creative, you're telling the story. Where's the budget? Where is the audience? Where is the attachments?
The marketing.
The marketing, so you can't even go anywhere unless you have a good attachment. No attachments. One or two might have a slight maybe from Jamaica. Your attachments are in England and America. And we all complain, why don't you have a Jamaican in? Why didn't a Jamaican do that role and this role? Let me tell you, it is very hard to convince somebody that a Jamaican who has not done anything has the marketing potential to sell. It might be wrong. There might be a star there. That little boy could act in any movie, you know. That you had right before.
Oh, he was fantastic.
I do believe,
I believe that. And this sort of thing, it's you know, it's there, but it is the way the business grows. You have to have an attachment. A director who has directed, a cameraman who has, I mean, all these things. So that is where I think this fund is going to help us in the first place, getting to that point.
Natalie, I'm going to ask you, you are unique in terms of what you've been able to do. Have you produced the next you? Do you see the next you?
I'm working on it, and I think they're there. They're there. They just have to commit to. I mean, I had to turn off my creative side and turn off being on the set and say, I don't like that. That's not my job anymore.
Which isn't the easiest thing as a innate creative.
Exactly.
It takes a discipline to say, switch this off,
switch this off. And, you know, and I think that is it. Most people want to be producers, not line producers, and not to run, not to facilitate huge movies. They want to be producers. I want to be a producer too. When I'm 80, I'll be producing movies. But it's hard to think now that you're going to go back and get a desk job, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, looking at the figures every single day to make sure the running of this corporation is happening.
It's not easy.
No,
it's not easy.
But someone's got to do it, and Natalie does it. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it's lovely.
It was a wonderful conversation.
Thank
you.
Appreciate
it. Thank you.
That was Natalie Thompson, OD, Managing Director of Cinecom Productions Limited. All right, it's now time to take a short break, and we'll wrap things up when we return here on Sunrise.